Well, hello, and welcome to this very special edition of On Deck with Avoya, your weekly travel update. I'm your host, Chris Green, Director of Network Expansion for Avoya Travel, and we're so excited to have you join us today because today's program is unlike any other weekly version of On Deck with Avoya that we've produced so far. Today, On Deck with Avoya hits a new high as far as access to our amazing industry. But before I gush, and trust me, I'm over the moon excited for today's special guest. But before I do that, here's just a little bit of a backstory. It was about 2 years ago that I first proposed to the bosses at Avoya Travel the idea of a weekly show on our social media channels. It was a free resource in the middle of COVID, and free was great, right? So I worked with my amazing trade marketing team, Marissa Smith, being my partner in this show from the very start. And we flipped the switch for the first time live on our Facebook page at the end of October in 2020. Just as the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, was switching from a no sale order in the cruise industry to a conditional sale order. And I wanted the show to both showcase the amazing best-in-class resources that Avoya Travel offers to the Avoya network, but I also wanted to showcase the amazing travel industry as a whole, its resiliency, its importance. I wanted to be a cheerleader for its successful return. So here we are almost 2 years later, still on the air almost every Thursday, slowly building our loyal following, showcasing all of the amazing teams that support our network at Avoya Travel, showcasing amazing agency owners in the Avoya network, and along the way, introducing you to some of the biggest players that make our industry work. In fact, at the end of today's On Deck with Avoya, we're going to be announcing details of our special 2-year anniversary special that's coming up in early November. And to celebrate that great moment and its lead up, I reached out to the Avoya Travel Strategic Partnerships team and asked if they could help me source a couple of special guests for the month leading up. So Ashley Hunter, our Senior Vice President of Partnership, she leads an amazing team, and they quickly came back and they said, hey, Royal Caribbean is going to send a guest. And that was big news for our team and our show. And then they followed up with the biggest news our little show has ever received. Vicki Freed is going to be your guest. Yes, that Vicki Freed, the best friend the travel advisor ever had, the Senior Vice President of Sales, Trade Support, and Service for Royal Caribbean International. And I literally did a little Vicki Freed happy dance, and I've been very excited since then for this moment. And the reason it's important to you, I think, the travel advisor, especially those not already in our network, is it really highlights the value of relationships and how important a player Avoya Travel is in the industry at large. Because Vicki Freed's time is very precious. I don't know if you've ever seen my personal favorite movie about sales, Glengarry Glen Ross, but Vicki Freed's time is kind of like coffee in that movie, and coffee is for closers. And Royal Caribbean knows that Avoya Travel has a network filled with closers, and that's really why we're able to welcome such a special guest like Vicki Freed in just a few moments to hear on Deck with Avoya. But before that amazing Q&A with Vicki, we have a very abbreviated version of our weekly Eye on the Industry feature, including the impacts of Hurricane Ian on the Southwest travel industry and that sector. Sadly, not very good news there. And then we're going to have a lot of good news from all over the world as people continue to prioritize travel in their lives, and the numbers reflect that. We'll also be announcing, as I said, details of our special 2-year anniversary special. We're going to talk about our current military promotion and wrap up the program, of course, making sure you have all the ways to reach out and start the conversation with Avoya Travel about joining the Avoya Network. Okay, so let's kick off this very special edition of On Deck with Avoya, your weekly travel update, with some industry highlights in our Eye on the Industry segment. Now, Mother Nature, wow, came roaring into Florida last week in the form of Hurricane Ian, a Category 4 storm that brought record-breaking storm surge as well as sustained winds of 155 miles per hour as it slammed into Southwest Florida. The communities of Fort Myers Beach and Sanibel Island, Captiva Island, and Naples being some of the most impacted with just catastrophic damage and destruction. Bridges and causeways are out. The regional Southwest Airport in Fort Myers was closed for over a week, just reopening to minimal traffic yesterday, and the impacts on the tourism sector in that area is going to be felt for months, if not years to come. Now, combined, that area normally welcomes about 1 million annual visitors, with the peak travel season just about ready to kick off. And quoting Peter Risi, director of Florida Atlantic University's Hospitality and Tourism Management Program, when it comes to the infrastructure and especially the bridges, those will take a long time to repair. I think visitors are going to steer clear of Fort Myers, Naples, and Sanibel for a long time because they're going to perceive it's not ready, and they'll be correct. Now, on a personal note, I feel very fortunate to live just north of the area where the storm surge was pushing out and not into the land. And my heart goes out to everyone in those impacted areas. I want to thank the thousands upon thousands of linemen, just working hard night and day to restore power to everybody that's impacted, and of course, all of the first responders. All right, let's move on to some happy news, because you know what, Avoya Travel, we love to say that the numbers don't lie. Well, check out these great numbers that are being reported. Greece, Portugal, Spain, all posted record-breaking tourism numbers this week. This despite the challenges that still exist in the travel sector. Not only are the total number of visitors up, but the amount of money the tourists are spending are trending way higher than even 2019. And the Mediterranean area is not the only place experiencing a big boost in travel numbers. Jamaica just released and said summer arrivals helped it surpass 2019's record-breaking June. In 2022, the destination hosting a total of 5,173,000 visitors if you combine overnight arrivals and cruise passengers. And here in the United States, Las Vegas also reporting a very busy summer. In August of this year, the city welcomed almost 3.2 million visitors. That's according to the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority. Conventions were a big part of that, about 406,000 people, up significantly over 2021, but still lagging behind convention business from 2019, not a surprise there. All in all, very promising news about the health of the leisure travel sector. All right, it's time. My favorite segment of On Deck with Avoya, and of course, if you couldn't tell by the fact that I literally showed off my Vicki Freed happy dance early, it's a very special show for us. Avoya Travel has made strategic partnerships a core value for as long as the company has existed. Those partnerships play a vital role in our success and overall success of the Avoya network. It's one of the reasons that you should reach out and start the conversation. So let's welcome in our very special Meet the Industry guest today, the best friend and travel advisor you ever had, like I said, one of the most respected names in leisure travel, Vicki Freed, Senior Vice President of Sales, Trade Support, and Service for Royal Caribbean International. Vicki, welcome to our show. We're so honored to have you on today.
I'm honored to be on. Thank you, Chris, and thank you for inviting me today. It's always such a pleasure to talk to travel advisors and people thinking about getting in the industry. Thank you again.
Absolutely. Again, we're just really excited for this segment. And Vicki, before we get into the heart of our interview, can you tell us a little bit about your history in the cruise industry and what led you to wanting to be part of the travel business to begin with?
Well, I sort of just fell into the industry. I did not have a desire when I was in college to go into the travel industry. I knew I wanted to be in sales. And I sort of fell into it because in my senior year at college, I took a class, a salesmanship class, and I also took a class, well, it's an internship class where I worked for Boulder's Visitors and Conference Bureau. And then I wound up interviewing that spring break with Ask Mr. Foster, which is Peter Ubroth. He was the former commissioner of baseball, and he had a big travel company at that time. I went back home for spring break, interviewed with him. They offered me a job, and I said, okay. And so that's how I got into travel. And I knew nothing about the cruise industry. The only thing I knew about the cruise industry was the television show, The Love Boat.
Right, it is back, yeah.
In a different way, but I just feel very fortunate that I'm in the travel industry and that I've spent my entire career in cruising.
Now, I'm curious, Vicki, despite the fact not wanting to get into the travel industry, did you have a chance to travel a lot when you were younger, or was there a particular moment that made you fall in love with just the idea of traveling and exploring to begin with?
I did travel as a kid growing up with my parents and my brother, and we went to Europe and we went to Hawaii, and we went to a lot of places like Las Vegas. You just talked about Las Vegas, Phoenix. And so we did travel as a family, but not like crazy travel. So no, I like travel, but I just didn't think, I guess it was just never something I thought about.
So here we find ourselves the start of the fourth quarter of 2022, and wow, this year certainly seems to have went fast. When you look back at the first part of the year, Vicki, anything that really stands out for you?
We were already back sailing the first part of this year. And so it was just about the protocols changing and getting the momentum back, and seeing that the travel advisors were back in our court and back in the game. And, we had a job to do because we were on pause for 18 months. I mean, what business shuts down for 18 months, what industry? And that happened to us. So we had to really rebuild the base of business. But with the help of travel advisors, we were able to do it. And we're now sailing full. And we have all 26 ships of ours back in the water, sailing with guests, high guest satisfaction. Our NPS scores, which are your net promoter scores, which are how likely are you to recommend Royal Caribbean or how likely are you to repeat, are at an all-time high. So the crew is happy to be back. That was a big challenge, getting the crew back. I mean, it's like restarting the whole engine all over again.
Yeah, a lot of logistical challenges, I can imagine. As a follow-up, kind of when you look forward, what are some of the bright spots and what are some of the challenges that you see in the near future for both the cruise industry at large, Vicki, and Royal Caribbean specifically as we move forward?
Well, I mean, I'm excited about the future. I mean, we just introduced 2 ships this year, the Odyssey of the Seas, as well as the Wonder of the Seas. I can tell you that our corporation is very bullish on the industry. Currently, between the Royal Caribbean Group brands, we have 64 ships. In 5 years, we'll have 74 ships. So what that means to me and to all of us is that there's a huge opportunity for travel advisors to play a very meaningful and important role, not just for the suppliers, but for today's consumer. What we saw happen out of the pandemic was that the consumer really craved vacations. They were kind of isolated, you know, being at home, and they missed that human connection. And so that's why a travel advisor's role is probably more important today than it's ever been, because consumers really have said, I want to vacation and I want to be with my friends and family who I really missed connecting with during the pandemic.
I mean, who would have thought a couple of years ago, right, Vicki, if we had talked about the idea of revenge travel, like you're going to get revenge on COVID somehow by taking more trips, I mean, we just would have laughed about the concept, but here we find ourselves with that as kind of part of the language in our travel industry these days. Pretty amazing, right?
It is. And, you know, when I hear the word revenge travel, I feel like it's angry travel. I'd rather call it happy travel. And people want to go back and vacation and share experiences with their friends and their loved ones.
I always just think of like my aunt who would wag her finger like at the family reunions at us kids doing something wrong, like, oh no, COVID, you're not stealing another vacation from me. So that's kind of how I always looked at the revenge travel in that regards. You know, one of the things I've always admired about Royal Caribbean brand is the innovation, constantly upping the game with new ships and the amazing private islands like a Perfect Day at Coco Cay, which I've been to a couple of times. But 2023 really looks to be a special year with the introduction of the Icon class and the Icon of the Seas. What are your thoughts on the newest ships coming into the Royal Fleet, Vicki?
Well, I'm very excited about the Icon of the Seas. And those of you who've been in the industry for a while, you might remember that when the Oasis class started service in 2009, it really did change the entire industry. Well, you're going to see that again when we introduce the Icon of the Seas. It's going to be a spectacular ship. We're not quite ready to share details. We will be sharing them at the end of this month, but we are very excited about this new class of ship.
We're pretty excited too. And of course, you know, when you're Royal Caribbean, you know you have to up the game a little bit, even if it's by a couple of inches sometimes when it was the biggest ships in the world. But I'm sure there's going to be some really amazing innovations coming along with that Icon class and the Icon of the Seas. Do you think our industry at large, Vicki, still has really unlocked the potential for the cruise sector, or we have a lot of room for growth still? It's kind of a softball question because I kind of know the answer, but still something I'm excited to hear you speak about.
Well, we do have a big future ahead. I just told you what the amount of ships we're going to have in the next 5 years, but the industry is going to continue to grow. Now, some people might say, but aren't you putting too much capacity in the industry? And the reality is, no, we're not. Because of the fact that cruising is the best vacation value. And we know that when you look at the size of our market today, we're about 33 million guests a year for the industry. And when you compare that to a destination like Orlando, which is about double the amount of people that visit Orlando, and that's not an inexpensive vacation. Going to Orlando and the theme park tickets and all the food and all the hotels and all of that, that can be much more expensive than a cruise vacation. So we have great potential to continue to grow this industry.
Yeah, the value of taking a cruise, I think, has never been higher than it is right now. And it's always been a great value, but even right now, it just seems, compared to what else is in the marketplace, such a tremendous value for families and individuals to just get away for a little while.
It is. And when you see a promotion like we have currently going, which is kids sale free, it becomes an even better value because now the children are complimentary. So when you can go on as a family at a very affordable rate, it is the best vacation value.
I said in my open, Vicki, and I consider you the best friend the travel advisor's ever had. And I know personally, and thank you for not getting me in trouble for kind of stalking you from a couple of aisles away, but I know personally I've learned so much just watching you interact with people at trade shows, how you're always present in the moment. I love listening to your presentations at the conventions. What is it about the travel advisor community that you find inspiring?
Well, I think the travel advisor actually does a great job at presenting vacation options for the consumer. I don't believe that travel advisors really sell anything. I think you help guide the consumer into making the right buying decision. And there is a difference because when I'm helping you make the right buying decision to get the best ROI on your vacation dollar, you and I are not sitting across the desk from one another. We're sitting on the same bench. And so I'm there to guide you. And I also believe a really great travel advisor is a value interpreter. Today's consumer, no matter what you say, they're going to go on the internet and they're going to start Googling vacations. And maybe it's Royal Caribbean. And then when they see all that information, they're going to get what I call consumer confusion. And when their consumer is confused, they need someone to be that value interpreter. And that's the role of a great travel advisor, is that you help guide the consumer in making the best vacation options available to them. And you really are the value interpreter. And you give them the best ROI on their vacation dollar. Now that's a win-win for everybody.
Absolutely. I know at all the trade shows, when I watch you interact with our industry, that people are always soliciting advice from you. And so I guess I'll jump in line and do the same thing. If you were to offer, Vicki, a piece of advice to somebody that was just getting into the travel industry, what would that be?
I think, boy, I teach a class every month to new to the industry. And the class I teach is, why should somebody do business with you?
Mhm.
And it's really important that you know the answer to that. And you can't say things like, I can book your vacation for you, because the internet can book, my website can book it, an 800 number can book it. You have to be somebody that really adds value to the consumer's vacation experience. And I also believe you can't even say, I'm going to provide you good service, because today, if you're not providing great service, you're not in business. So you really have to be able to add that little extra something, whatever your specialty is. And when you think about the people that go on vacations, and this is very recent research that we did at Royal Caribbean, 40% of the people that take a cruise today are celebrating some sort of an occasion, whether it's a birthday or an anniversary. So market yourself as the celebration expert, that you know how to plan that perfect vacation for those very special celebrations. And just make sure that you're able to articulate to the consumer that you not only are going to provide them excellent service, but you're going to be there every step of the way. You're going to be there to follow through. And the most important piece is, when somebody makes a deposit with you, don't ignore them until their final payment. Pay attention to them. Send them little tips on a particular port of call, or just call and check in with them to see if they need anything. And then you asked for one tip, but I'm going to throw in many. And that's my last one, which is really an important one, is every time you close a sale, every single time, you need to say this question at the end. After I've gotten your money, Chris, your credit card, I'm going to say, Chris, is there anyone else that you can think of that might want to travel with you on this vacation? And then I'm going to be quiet and I'm going to let Chris think. And when Chris responds, I can tell you for a fact that 1 out of 4 times you ask this question, you're going to get a new booking. It may not always be on the exact same date that Chris is going on, but you're going to get a new booking, because Chris is going to say, I hadn't thought about it, but maybe my brother wants to go. And then we get his brother on the phone and we start talking to his brother. His brother says, oh, Chris, I can't go that week. I've got, a wedding of a friend, but I would like to go because it sounds amazing. How about the following week? And that's how it all happens.
Yeah, that sounds pretty magical. And just the simplest little things lead to such big results, especially when you duplicate them time and time again, right? I mean, having a process and doing that not just once, but like you said, every single time is where you really start to see the value and that return on those little things. Vicki, one of the things that you're famous for in the industry is your personalized notes that you send out. I know personally, my wife received one time when you guys were together at a convention and you commented on her nails. She still has that on her desk. It just means that much. I know you've been asked this a bunch of times, but why do you take the time to do that? And what's the benefit for you, Vicki, in doing that?
Because I think it differentiates me and it also builds a relationship. And you see, that's what can, all of you have that same ability, is to do something that is meaningful to the consumer. That's a surprise. Like how many years ago was that, Chris, that I sent your wife a note? And I remember her nails. She had them in the Avoya colors. But you know, if you can just, you all have that data. You have it on when somebody's birthday, somebody's anniversary is. Just send them a note, send them a beautiful card and think about them. It makes a difference. It really, really does.
Sometimes being genuine is a great closing tool, isn't it, Vicki?
I think so. I mean, I know a particular Avoya agent right now is going through a real challenge right now with her health. And I'm making sure that this is the time I need to rally around her and I need to send her notes just to let her know that people are thinking about her. So it's the little things that can make a big difference. And they're sincere from me. They really are. But they're sincere from all of you if you just do it.
Now, great advice. Vicki Freed, Senior Vice President of Sales, Trade Support and Services, our special Meet the Industry guest today for On Deck with Avoya. As we begin our special month of shows leading up to the 2-year anniversary of our show, Vicki, I always say that the travel industry is one of those industries where relationships are still so vital. Would you agree with that statement? And why do you think that is? And what is the overall philosophy at Royal Caribbean when it comes to partnerships?
Well, we know that we wouldn't be in business without the partnership of travel advisors. We put our bet on the travel advisors. So we do cultivate and build those relationships. We have salespeople that are out in the field, business development managers, strategic account managers, to help you build your business, because we know that in the long run, that's going to pay off and we're going to be that important partner to you. And during the pandemic, in the beginning, we saw that travel advisors could potentially not make it through the pandemic. Thank goodness that they did. But we set aside $40 million to loan to travel advisors so that they could get through the most difficult times. And they were no interest loans. And they were 2 years, you didn't have to pay us back. And now people are paying us back. And they're so grateful that we put a value on that partnership by, loaning money at no interest. And for us, we were paid 12% interest on that money. So it wasn't like we were sitting there with tons of money in the bank. We borrowed a lot of money during the pandemic, but we also put a high value on the relationship and the partnership.
Yeah, really smart from Royal Caribbean standpoint. And I know so many agents that were just grateful, even if they didn't end up, needing that money or participating in the program. I think just the gesture of goodwill just had such great legs in the industry. So smart business from you guys for sure on that, and really great for the industry at large. I was lucky enough to be in the audience at the CLIA Hall of Fame dinner in 2018 when you were inducted to the CLIA Hall of Fame. When you look back, what do moments like that mean to you as a person, Vicki, having spent so many years in our industry?
I mean, I think all of us have those moments where perhaps we've been recognized, and it really was very moving for me to be recognized because, I live my life serving others. And if I serve you and I help you become successful, I never have to worry about my own success. And that's how I've lived my entire career. And so it was quite an honor to receive that recognition.
Yeah, it was pretty special to be in the audience that night for sure, and very well deserved. When you look forward, what is Vicki Freed excited about? What do you hope to accomplish still in our great industry?
Well, I still want to accomplish giving back to people, whether it's our own employees or whether it's the travel advisors, because that's the best gift that we can give, is to help others succeed. And I'm excited about the future of the cruise industry and the vacation industry, and also the travel advisors, because I know your future is bright. Now, will it all get divided? Like, will the pie just get divided equally? No, it won't. So more people will be booking their vacations through travel advisors. However, it's the ones that are out there that are getting their name out there, that are following up, that are building the relationships, that are going to get more than their fair share of the business. And so do you want to be in that side of the pie, or do you want to be on the other side?
Yeah, absolutely. I can only imagine the amazing places that you've had the opportunity to travel to because of being part of the travel industry. Are there any locations that really stand out for you that really like pop up as at the very top? And kind of as a follow-up to that, Vicki, where do you still want to go that you haven't had a chance to visit yet?
I would tell you that two really incredible destinations, Antarctica and the Galapagos. I thought those were really special, but every vacation is special. It really is who you go with. So this past summer, I went on a 16-night cruise on Silver Sea on the Silver Spirit, and I took 18 people with me. We had the time of our life. And it started out, the same group went on a Freedom of the Seas 3-night cruise the previous fall. And we'd gone on this because we all play pickleball. We have pickleball courts on our Royal Caribbean ship. So it started as a 3-night cruise. And then when we came back, they said, Vicki, we want to do something longer and more deluxe. And what do you have? And I said, well, we can go on Silver Sea at 16 nights, but there's no pickleball courts and everything's on. And then when we got off of this 16-night cruise, which was in August 10th, they all came to me and they said, okay, Vicki, what's our next trip for next summer? And so we're going back on Royal Caribbean for a 7-night cruise on the Symphony of the Seas in Europe. So I would tell you each time I take a vacation, it's the people that I'm with that make it happen.
I had a chance to watch you play pickleball last year on one of the inaugural sailings, and your partner hit one into the net, and the look that you gave him was just priceless. And it really reinforced about how, well, we are really all in sales and we're really competitive individuals, even when we're out having fun. I hope you don't mind me bringing up that story, but it was a great moment just to really see the human side of Vicki Freed too, because we all carry you at such a high pedestal in our industry.
Well, the secret to my pickleball is not really my playing because I'm just an average player. It's really my partner who I have to always pick the right partner. And there was one pickleball game where one partner couldn't do it. And so I asked one of our strategic account managers, Diego. I said, Diego, do you want to be my partner? Because he's a really good athlete and he's really good at pickleball. And I said, now listen, no pressure. Your job relies on you. We win, but no pressure at all.
That's so funny. Vicki, we're so appreciative of your time for being our special guest today. And I think it goes without saying how much Avoya Travel appreciates the partnership we share with Royal Caribbean. And before we wrap up, I just wanted to offer you a little time that if you had a few words of inspiration to the travel advisors that might be watching our episode, just any thoughts that you might have as we wrap this up today.
Well, I guess I'd just tell you, look forward, don't look backwards. The pandemic's in the past, it's in the rear view mirror. We're all traveling again. This is the opportunity to be grateful for the life we can live and the life we have. And as long as we have our health, and we have our family and our friends, we can do anything. And so make the most out of your profession, make it fun. Remember, at the end of the day, we're selling memories. And we're not selling, cemetery plots. We're selling happiness. So, please take advantage of that. And if you need us to help build your business with you and you don't have all the right ideas, we have a team of strategic account managers out in the field that want to help serve you and help you build your business.
Vicki, I know I said that was the last question, but we had one sneak in on the Q&A that I thought was appropriate. They wanted to know about your monthly class, and is that something that they can participate in?
Not really, because it's for a specific organization.
Oh, okay.
But I'll tell you what, if you want to just send me an email at vfreed, Freed, @rccl.com, and you give me your name and phone number, I'm happy to just talk to you. I have a long commute back and forth. I'm in the car an hour and a half each way. I won't call you super early in the morning if you're on the West Coast, but on my drive home, I'm more than happy to call you and we can just chat. So I can give you a one-on-one personalized conversation and we can just get to know one another, and I would welcome that opportunity. My work phone number, my direct line is 305-539-6031. And, sometimes people, I taught a class I didn't teach a class today. I was on a panel this morning for new hires, and people are always so like, oh, I can't believe it's Vicki Freed, or I can't, you're so important. I'm no more important than any of you. I have a fancy title. I will agree that it really looks good on a business card, but at the end of the day, we're all the same. We all want to be treated with kindness and respect. And so ignore my fancy title. Let's get to know one another. I'd be happy to be your friend on the phone and get to know you better and help you and learn from you as well.
What an amazing way to wrap up our interview. Vicki Freed, everyone, Senior Vice President of Sales, Trade Support, and Service for Royal Caribbean International. Vicki, thank you so much for that great discussion. And thank you for sharing your precious time with us here at On Deck with Avoya.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, everybody.
Wow, that was amazing, right? I mean, Vicki Freed is the best, and what a wonderful offer she made there at the end. And to be honest, I'm still a little bit in shock that that just happened. I know she said we're all the same, but she is Vicki Freed after all. So we're ready and very excited to share with you some details of our upcoming 2-year anniversary special for On Deck with Avoya, your weekly travel update. First, the location. We're going to be doing our anniversary show of On Deck with Avoya, actually from a deck on the brand new Celebrity Beyond during the 2022 Avoya Travel Conference. And our special guest for our 2-year anniversary special will be none other than Donda Ritzenholler, Senior Vice President of Sales, Trade Support, and Service for Celebrity Cruises. Another fancy title, another amazing person. We're still working on the exact details, but we'll be live for that special broadcast. And we're going to have an actual audience in attendance. So for those of you in the Avoya network going to be on the Celebrity Beyond with us, maybe you'll stop by and be part of the taping for On Deck with Avoya. We'll certainly be confirming all the details here in the next couple of weeks. All right, so our military promotion continues just to garner great results, and we're so grateful to those that serve our country, have served, continue to serve, and their spouses for serving right along with them. We have $100 off our affiliation fee. All you have to do is go to avoyanetwork.com, get your request in, we'll get you with a specialist, and then when we put it together, we'll take $100 off that affiliation fee. Remember, Avoya Travel has the kind of resources, best-in-class resources, like professional development and support, really amazing technology. And don't forget about the Avoya Live Leads. What a game changer that is. So if you're new to the industry, we have the right resources to help. If you're an experienced travel advisor, we have the resources to meet you where you are on the journey. So again, reach out. And how do you reach out? Pretty simple. Avoyanetwork.com really is the best place to start. That's our website, has a ton of information. You can also email me personally, chris.green@avoyatravel.com. There's my personal phone number there on there. It'll ring to my desk. I do my best to answer. If not, return the call. Just like Vicki said, I love chat and travel, so please reach out. We'd love to get you connected with a network expansion specialist. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you again to Vicki Freed for being our special guest today. We're so excited about our upcoming 2-year anniversary in early November. We're going to be back on next Thursday. We're not able to announce the guests. We're this close to finalizing, but we have somebody special for you next Thursday at our normal time. Until then, take care, everyone.